Remember when British toys didn't need batteries, updates, or safety warnings to keep you busy? Somewhere along the way, the plastic changed, the risks disappeared, and the rituals went with them. These were the playthings that lived on bedroom floors, in school bags, and under the stairs, the ones every 80s childhood quietly revolved around. Action Man dominated British toy boxes throughout the early 1980s as the ultimate soldier figure every boy wanted. Palitoy manufactured these realistic military figures with moving joints, gripping hands, and authentic uniforms. Each figure cost around £5 to £8, with extra uniforms and equipment sold separately in shops. The figure came with different hair colours, military ranks, and special units like SAS commandos or deep-sea divers. So kids could dress Action Man in dozens of outfits, from parachute gear to scuba equipment, creating endless adventure scenarios. You remember unwrapping Action Man on Christmas morning, immediately dressing him in combat gear and making him abseil down the stairs using string. Your bedroom floor became a battlefield where Action Man fought imaginary enemies for hours. Palitoy stopped making Action Man in 1984 when American toy companies took over the market. Modern action figures replaced him, and British toy shops filled with different characters instead. He-Man burst onto British toy shelves in 1983 as the muscular blonde hero from planet Eternia. Mattel created these chunky action figures with bright colours and special action features. Each figure cost about £4 to £6, making them affordable treats for birthdays and Christmas. The toys came with weapons, vehicles, and the famous Castle Grayskull playset that every child desperately wanted. He-Man could raise his sword and shout his catchphrase while battling the evil Skeletor across your bedroom carpet. You remember collecting different characters like Man-at-Arms, Teela, and Battle Cat, lining them up for epic battles. The cartoon show played every afternoon, making you rush home from school to watch He-Man's latest adventure before playing with your figures. By 1987, the craze ended as quickly as it started. Toy shops cleared their shelves and He-Man disappeared from British childhoods almost overnight. Transformers arrived in Britain in 1984, bringing robots that magically changed into cars, planes, and trucks. So Hasbro sold these clever toys everywhere, with prices ranging from £3 for small ones to £20 for larger robots. Each Transformer twisted and folded into a completely different shape within seconds. Optimus Prime turned from a robot into a lorry, while Starscream became a fighter jet. The packaging showed exactly how many steps the transformation took. You remember sitting on your bedroom floor, carefully following the instructions to transform Bumblebee from a yellow Volkswagen into a robot. Sometimes the pieces got stuck and you'd ask your dad for help getting the arms into the right position. The original Transformers stopped appearing in British shops by 1990. New versions came later, but they never matched the original chunky robots that captured imaginations across the country. Viewmaster brought three-dimensional magic into British homes throughout the 1980s as the stereoscopic viewer every child treasured. The red plastic viewer cost about £8 to £10, with individual picture reels selling for £2 to £3 each in toy shops and museums. You slotted circular cardboard reels containing tiny colour photographs into the viewer, then held it up to the light. Clicking the white lever advanced through 7 stereoscopic image pairs, creating amazing 3D scenes that seemed to jump out at you. You remember getting Viewmaster reels from every family holiday, collecting Disney films, nature scenes, and British landmarks. You'd sit by the window for hours, clicking through reels repeatedly, amazed how flat pictures suddenly gained depth and distance through the special viewer. How the magic faded by the late 1980s when video technology offered moving pictures instead of static scenes. Viewmasters disappeared from toy shops, their clever stereoscopic technology forgotten as screens took over childhood entertainment completely. Care Bears bounced into British toy shops in 1983 as cuddly teddy bears with special symbols on their tummies. Each bear represented different feelings like love, friendship, or happiness. Small bears cost about £8, while larger ones reached £15 in department stores. The bears came in rainbow colours with names like Tenderheart Bear, Grumpy Bear, and Cheer Bear. Their cartoon show played on weekend morning television, making children beg their parents for these soft, colourful toys. You remember clutching your Funshine Bear everywhere, so taking it to bed every night and bringing it on family holidays. The yellow bear with its sunshine symbol became your favourite possession, sitting on your pillow throughout your childhood. The Care Bears craze peaked between 1983 and 1987, then slowly disappeared. By 1990, British toy shops stopped stocking them, and the bears vanished from children's bedrooms across the nation. Those first 5 toys defined early 80s childhoods, filling British homes with action figures, puzzles, and cuddly bears. But the decade brought even more unforgettable toys. Number 6 introduced magical ponies that girls everywhere absolutely adored. My Little Pony trotted into Britain in 1983 as small plastic horses with flowing, colourful manes. Hasbro created these pastel-coloured ponies with special symbols on their flanks. Basic ponies cost about £3, while playsets reached £20 in toy shops. Each pony had a unique name and symbol representing their personality. Girls brushed their long manes, styled their tails, and collected dozens of different characters. The Dreamcastle and Paradise Estate playsets became must-have Christmas presents. You remember lining up your ponies on your bedroom windowsill, carefully combing their pink and purple manes with the tiny brush. You'd spend hours creating stories where the ponies went on adventures together, galloping across your carpet. Generation 1 ponies stopped being made in 1989 when Hasbro redesigned the whole range. And the original chubby ponies with their distinctive symbols disappeared forever from British toy shelves. Cabbage Patch Kids caused absolute chaos in British toy shops between 1983 and 1989. These soft-bodied dolls with plastic heads cost around £20 each. Every doll came with adoption papers, a birth certificate, and a unique name. Each Cabbage Patch Kid looked completely different with various hair colours, styles, and facial features. Parents queued for hours outside shops, sometimes fighting other customers to grab the last dolls before Christmas. You remember finally getting your own Cabbage Patch Kid after months of begging. You filled out the adoption certificate with your name, making the doll officially yours. The crinkly face and yarn hair made it look strange but somehow lovable. By 1990, the craze ended completely. British shops stopped stocking Cabbage Patch Kids, and the dolls that once caused riots ended up forgotten in lofts and charity shops across the country. The Sinclair ZX Spectrum revolutionized British homes between 1982 and 1986 as the affordable home computer everyone could buy. Sir Clive Sinclair designed this rubber-keyed computer that cost £48 to £125, depending on the memory. The Spectrum plugged into your family television, loading games and programs from cassette tapes. Kids learned basic programming, typed in code from magazines, and played hundreds of games like Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy. You remember waiting 20 minutes for games to load? I'm watching the colourful stripes flash across the screen while strange beeping sounds filled your living room. Sometimes the tape failed halfway through, forcing you to rewind and start loading again. Newer computers replaced the Spectrum by 1986. The rubber keyboard and cassette loading became old-fashioned as technology moved forward, leaving the Spectrum as a nostalgic memory of early British computing. BMX bikes dominated British streets and parks between 1980 and 1986 as the coolest transport for any kid. Raleigh manufactured the famous burner and grifter models, costing between £80 and £150 brand new. These bikes featured chunky tyres, padded crossbars, and colourful frames in red, blue, or yellow. Kids performed tricks, built jumps from wooden planks, and raced each other around neighbourhoods. Owning a burner meant instant playground popularity. You remember begging your parents for a Raleigh burner, promising to do extra chores for months. When you finally got one for your birthday, you spent every evening after school riding around the estate, attempting wheelies and jumps. The BMX craze faded by 1987 as mountain bikes became the new trend. Burners and grifters gathered dust in sheds, replaced by bikes with more gears and suspension. Star Wars figures from Palitoy captured British imaginations throughout the early 1980s, after the films became the biggest movie craze in history. These small plastic figures stood about 3 3/4 inches tall and cost around £1.99 to £2.50 each in toy shops everywhere. Palitoy held the exclusive British license to manufacture Star Wars toys, producing characters like Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Darth Vader, and Han Solo. The figures had 5 points of movement and came on cardboard backing cards showing scenes from the films. Kids collected dozens of figures, spaceships, and playsets, recreating famous movie battles on their bedroom floors. The Millennium Falcon spaceship cost about £20, while smaller vehicles like X-Wings sold for £8 to £10. Death Star playsets and AT-AT walkers became the ultimate Christmas presents that only lucky children received. Each figure had tiny weapons that got lost immediately under sofas and radiators. You remember taking your Star Wars figures to school in your pockets, trading duplicates with friends at playtime. Your collection grew slowly, to birthday by birthday, until you owned enough characters to stage proper battles between rebels and the Empire. The figure's simple design meant endless imaginative play. Palitoy lost the Star Wars license in 1985 when Kenner took over worldwide production. The original figures stopped being made, and British toy shops moved on to newer ranges. Those early Palitoy figures became cherished memories of early 80s childhoods. Those middle toys showed how the 80s brought everything from action heroes to home computers into British playgrounds. Star Wars figures filled pockets while BMX bikes ruled the streets. The final 5 toys completed the decade's unforgettable toy box. Weebles wobbled into British toy boxes during the 1980s with their egg-shaped bodies and unforgettable slogan. Airfix manufactured these toys for the UK market, selling individual Weebles for about £2 and larger playsets for £10 to £15 in toy shops. These chubby little figures had weighted bottoms that made them always stand upright no matter how hard you pushed them. The Weebles family included mums, dads, children and even pets, all designed for toddlers and young children to play safely. Their rounded shape meant no sharp edges or small parts to swallow. Playsets included the Weebles Treehouse, Circus and Marina, each featuring ramps, slides and moving parts. Kids pushed their Weebles down slides, watching them wobble at the bottom but never fall over. The satisfying wobbling motion and gentle design made them perfect first toys. You remember your younger sister playing with her Weebles family for hours. She'd pushing them down the yellow slide repeatedly. The little figures survived being thrown, dropped and chewed without breaking. Their simple faces smiled permanently, making them friendly companions for playtime. You'd sometimes borrow them to see how far you could tip them before they bounced back upright. The weighted base always won, proving the slogan true every single time. Weebles quietly disappeared from British toy shops by the early 1990s as newer preschool toys took over. The wobbling egg people became charity shop finds, their distinctive shape still recognizable decades later. Modern parents sometimes spot them and remember the satisfying wobble that defined toddler play throughout the 80s. Glow Worm cuddled into British bedrooms in 1982 as the comforting nightlight toy that glowed softly in the dark. Hasbro created this plush green worm with a smiley face that lit up when you squeezed its body. A basic Glow Worm cost about £12 to £15 in toy shops. The toy's vinyl head contained a small battery-powered bulb that provided gentle illumination for children afraid of the dark. The soft, squeezable body made it perfect for hugging at bedtime. When you pressed the middle, the face glowed with a warm yellow light for several minutes. Parents loved Glow Worm because it helped settle children at night without leaving bright lights on. Kids adored the friendly, smiling face and the magical glow that appeared whenever they felt scared. The toy came wearing a striped nightcap, completing its bedtime companion image. You remember squeezing your Glow Worm under the blankets, watching its face glow in the darkness. The gentle light made shadow monsters disappear from your bedroom walls. Sometimes you'd squeeze it repeatedly just to watch the glow fade and return. The battery compartment sat inside the body, requiring parents to replace batteries regularly. The glow eventually became dimmer as batteries weakened, but you kept squeezing hopefully anyway. Glow Worm production ended by 1988 as other nightlight toys entered the market. The glowing vinyl faces cracked over time, and the soft bodies became flat from years of squeezing. British children moved on to different bedtime companions, leaving Glow Worm as a comforting memory of 80s nights. Space hoppers bounced through British gardens and playgrounds during the early 1980s as the orange bouncing ball every child wanted. Metoy manufactured these in Swansea, selling them for about £8 to £12 depending on size. The distinctive orange colour and smiling face made them instantly recognisable. These large inflatable rubber balls featured 2 handles sticking up like ears or horns. Children sat on top, gripped the handles, and bounced around gardens, pavements and school playgrounds. The bigger you were, the higher you could bounce, making space hoppers perfect for showing off. Different sizes suited various ages, from small ones for toddlers to massive versions for older kids and even adults. The hoppers needed pumping up with bicycle pumps, and the rubber smell filled your nose as you inflated them in the garage. You remember the first time you bounced on your space hopper, wobbling unsteadily before finding your balance. Soon, you were racing your friends down the street and seeing who could bounce fastest without falling off. Your legs ached after long bouncing sessions. The orange rubber perished over time, developing sticky patches and eventually puncturing. Rough pavements and sharp stones proved deadly to space hoppers, causing slow leaks that no amount of pumping could fix. Gardens became graveyards for deflated orange balls. Space hoppers faded from popularity by the mid-1980s as other outdoor toys replaced them. The bouncing craze ended, leaving punctured orange rubber in sheds and garages. Occasionally you'd see one at a car boot sale, looking sad and deflated compared to memories of bouncing joy. The Atari 2600 revolutionized British living rooms in the early 1980s as the home video game console that brought arcades into houses. Released in the UK around 1980, the console cost about £100 to £150, making it an expensive family purchase. The woody-fronted console plugged into television sets using chunky cartridges that clicked into the top. Games like Space Invaders, Pac-Man and Asteroids became playable at home instead of requiring 10-pence pieces in arcades. 2 joysticks came with every console, allowing friends to play together. Each game cartridge cost between £15 and £25, slowly building expensive collections. The blocky graphics and simple beeping sounds seemed amazing compared to having no home gaming at all. Kids spent hours glued to television screens, wiggling joysticks frantically. You remember finally convincing your parents to buy an Atari after months of begging. After you'd play Space Invaders until your thumb hurt from pressing the fire button. Your mum complained about you hogging the television when she wanted to watch Coronation Street. The limited graphics meant using imagination to see detailed spaceships in the blocky pixels. Games came with colourful instruction booklets showing what the graphics were supposed to represent. High scores became serious competition between siblings. The Atari's popularity crashed by 1983 when too many poor-quality games flooded the market. British families moved toward home computers like the ZX Spectrum that offered gaming plus programming. Atari consoles ended up in lofts, their cartridges scattered and forgotten as technology rapidly advanced beyond them. Yo-yos spun through British playgrounds during the 1980s as the ultimate skill toy that separated the talented from the hopeless. Professional competition yo-yos cost between £3 and £10 in toy shops, far more expensive than cheap plastic versions from corner shops. These weren't simple toys, but precision instruments made from wood or metal with special bearings. Kids learned tricks with names like Walk the Dog, Around the World, and Rock the Baby. School playgrounds became performance spaces where skilled players showed off their moves. Different yo-yo brands competed for playground dominance, with Coca-Cola branded models becoming particularly popular. The string needed regular replacing as it frayed from constant use. Professional yo-yo demonstrators visited toy shops, performing incredible tricks that made every child desperate to buy one. You remember finally mastering Walk the Dog after weeks of practice, dragging your yo-yo along the playground tarmac. Your knuckles bore scars from failed around-the-world attempts when the yo-yo smacked into your hand at high speed. The craze swept through schools suddenly, with everyone carrying yo-yos in blazer pockets. Teachers banned them after too many accidents involving yo-yos flying into faces or wrapping strings around classmates. Within months, the fad ended as quickly as it started. Yo-yos ended up in desk drawers with tangled strings and scratched paint. The brief craze became another forgotten 80s playground memory, replaced by whatever new toy captured children's attention next. And competition models gathered dust while cheap plastic versions survived in toy shops for years after. These 15 toys didn't disappear because children stopped loving them. They vanished because the world moved on faster than anyone expected. Toy companies merged, sold out, or went bankrupt. Foreign manufacturers took over British factories. Palitoy closed down. Metoy shut its doors. The toys that defined British childhoods got replaced by cheaper imports and flashier gadgets. Action Man couldn't compete when American action figures flooded the market. He-Man's cartoon ended, so the toys stopped selling. Transformers got redesigned repeatedly until the originals became memories. Care Bears and My Little Pony faded when new cartoons captured children's attention instead. Technology killed some toys completely. The ZX Spectrum became obsolete when better computers arrived. Atari crashed spectacularly, buried under mountains of terrible games. Even simple toys like space hoppers and yo-yos couldn't survive when video games offered easier entertainment indoors. Nobody saved these toys intentionally. Parents threw them out during house moves. Charity shops sold them for pennies. Lofts and garages became graveyards for broken transformers, deflated hoppers, and tangled yo-yo strings, but you remember them, don't you? If these toys filled your childhood, hit that like button and share this video with everyone who grew up in the 80s. Comment below telling us which toy you loved most. Did you own a Rolly Burner? Were you an Action Man kid or a He-Man fan? Subscribe for more nostalgic trips through British childhoods. Let's remember what we've lost together. These toys deserve to be remembered even if they're gone forever.